Tom Cruise has Groundhog Day syndrome. The worst part is he has to die every day to reset the clock. Bill Murray just had to live the day out. Sucks to be Tom Cruise. Edge of Tomorrow. It's an edgy, action-packed adventure film from the director of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, one of my favorite films, and in my opinion, it's a really good time. The story sees Tom Cruise reliving the first day of a futuristic war that looks like a Resistance Fall of Man game adaptation. He eventually encounters Emily Blunt, who it turns out has experienced the same thing, and the two team up to find the answer to winning the war. My biggest worry going into this movie was the editing, because when you have a movie that has a character reliving events, you have to make that event just as interesting and more so every consecutive time. Otherwise, it's going to be boring. Repetition can be very, very boring. But I was very happy to find that James Herbert, the editor, was able to take the footage and make a compelling film that kept my interest throughout. The only boring part for me personally was the opening dialogue scene. Too freaking long. The cast, including a hilarious Bill Paxton, is full of generic grunts we never spend enough time with, but the suits they wear for combat were brilliantly designed. The aliens they are battling also look and sound absolutely superb. The team behind their animation deserve a nod for best visual effects. But the film as a whole, much like Tom Cruise's plan to win the war, is anything but perfect. My personal flaws besides the opening are I don't think Tom Cruise always acted appropriately in the latter part of the movie. How is it exactly he is able to stay sane during the movie and not in some way go crazy after having been through the same events over and over and over again? And on that note, how is Emily Blunt, who went through the same thing and isn't insane either, able to recall that she went through it as well? And just on a side note, why is Tom Cruise given a line about him not being able to handle blood in any way when he barely shows signs of being affected by it the entire movie? Movies that deal with time loops will always bring up questions, big or small, and this one is no different. But I think in general the film did alright with the subject. What was not alright though was the ending. WTF question mark. I'm not going to spoil anything because I hate spoilers with a passion, but what happened didn't make sense. Based on the opening scene, they should have cut to Brendan Gleeson at that present moment and called it a movie. But all of that does not make it not worth viewing in the cinema. I think it's worth a 2D viewing because I never once thought of the benefit of a 3D experience, like ever, during my viewing. Ever. I'm going to go 3.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you very much for your time. Have an awesome day.